Anyway, all right. So today we're going to talk about wholetailing. I just want to figure out something. Yeah. So, what is wholetailing, and how has it helped me, and why sometimes it really is a game changer? So, wholetailing is sort of in between wholesaling and retailing or rehabbing. So, wholetailing means you look at a property in a different way, and you buy it, close on it, and then you sell it retail while doing almost no work to it. So I'm going to give an example. We had a property a while ago, 18 McKee Street, right? I think in Floral Park, and the seller wanted 450, and at 450 it made sense only because we looked at it through a hotel lens. So it was weird. So in that area of Floral Park, nice houses of that size were going for about 650, 675, and it needed a lot. Right now, it was livable. There were tenants in there, but it was all old. Kitchen was old. Everything was old. So if we looked at it from a perspective of either wholesaling it to a rehabber or rehabbing it ourselves, at 450, um, it was tight because it could have used maybe $100,000 worth of work. Um, but what I noticed, and what has really changed since we did this property a few years ago, is that people were paying about 550, 575 for houses that were old in that area. So I said at 450 I could buy it, close on it, do nothing to it. Maybe I think I painted it, and then I could sell it for 575. I think we sold it for 575, and we sold it quickly. So it's a different way to look at properties. It's different than the wholesale or rehab model, where you're always looking at ARV, what the after repaired value is, and you are discounting that a certain percentage, right? The general rule of what we buy at is we buy around 70% of ARV minus repairs. So in this case, let's do the math. So I think 650 we would have gotten for the house times 0.7 minus was around 355, right? And then we sell it to a rehabber at 80%. So that's 650 minus 100, which means a rehabber wouldn't want to pay more than 420 for this property. But and the seller wasn't going to go less than 450. But at 450, there was enough of a spread between what we could buy it for and what we could sell it for retail as is, that we bought it. And I bought a lot of properties using that number recently. So you have to be careful with wholetailing because you really need to know what similar properties are going for in that condition. And it's important to understand that if you don't comp out right, you're going to get screwed. Like, because I almost bought something for a wholesale, and then when I looked at the comps that were all not great, they all were in a different school district, and that was a big deal. So there are some areas, for example, like Massapequa. Massapequa is 4 school districts, right? It's Massapequa, Plainview, Plain Edge, and Amityville. There's a huge difference between the Amityville school district and Plain Edge school district. So you have to be very careful that your comps are correct. Now, that's the first thing you have to be careful about when you wholesale. Make sure that the comps of what cruddy houses are going for are comparable to what the house you're going to have for. The other thing you need to be careful is sometimes wholesales end up being rehabs. So I had a deal in Northport where I thought I wasn't going to have to do anything to. It was in pretty good shape, older but pretty good shape, and then I got a violation from the town of Smithtown about the fence. I had to redo the fence because there was a pool, and these things sometimes add up. And the most important thing to worry about when you wholesale is how much it's really going to cost for you to buy it, hold it, and sell it. Very often it'll cost $50,000 or more if it's a higher end. But if it's a lower end property, so something that's around $200,000, and the taxes are lower, it might only cost $25,000 for you to buy it, hold it, and sell it. But on a higher end property, it can cost more than $50,000 to buy it, hold it, and sell it. Remember, in New York, closing costs are crazy high, right? I figure $10,000 on closing costs every time I buy something, and sometimes it's more if taxes are due. If it's a Suffolk County property where taxes are due right before, it could be even more than $10,000. You're also going to almost always have to pay a buyer's agent when you sell the property, 2%. So if you want to sell something for $400,000, it's going to be $8,000 to a buyer's agent. And I'm a licensed broker, so I'm representing myself and listing it, but I still got to pay somebody 2% who brings their client out. Occasionally you get lucky. And you don't have, and they come without a buyer. We're doing something right now in Comac. We got very lucky, and somebody came to an open house and didn't have a an agent. So that's amazing. We don't have to pay a buyer's agent. But usually you got to figure 9 times out of 10, you are going to have to pay a buyer's agent 2%. So, I mean, I have a calculator. If anybody wants, you can shoot me a DM and I'll send it to you. But you got to figure 2% on the sale plus transfer tax, right? That's $4 per thousand, plus any taxes that were due while you were holding it. And on the purchase, you got a closing cost. So we figure, on average, we need at least $100,000 spread on most deals to wholesale for it to make sense. But that $100,000 spread very often is only going to work on a wholesale model. It's not going to work on a ARV model if we wanted to buy it to rehab it or if we wanted to buy it to wholesale it. So that's just the way it is. And I am a firm believer in doing less work than more work. So when I look at a property and there might be a problem with it, right? There might be a hole in the roof that I can fix for a few $1,000s, or there might be a kitchen problem that I can fix for a few $1,000s. If I used to say under $6,000 is a wholesale deal, but I think now I consider under $10,000 a wholesale deal. So looking at a property for wholetailing is going to be very different than looking at a property that you're going to wholesale or you're going to rehab. So wholetailing for me has brought a lot of money over the years. It's let me buy a lot of properties that I never would have bought if I didn't look at it via a wholesale lens. And it's made me a lot of money. So I'm a big believer when I look at a property, if I have a deal, I look at it 3 ways. I look at it first, what's the ARV? So what are fully rehabbed houses in that area going for? I then look at those houses and see what investors paid. I look at, which is usually 6 to 12 months before. I also look at properties, what are investors paying right now? So REOs, which are bank-owned properties, or short sales, what are investors paying today? And then I look at what this can get as is or with minimal improvement. So that's a wholesale view. And I look at the properties and I will see what can I get for this property without doing anything. And trust me, doing less work is usually a better way to go about it because work leads to more work. So again, for the first 4 years that I did this, I got rehabbed every single property. I wanted to be Tarek El Moussa from Flip or Flop. That was my dream, open concept, redo everything. And I was a complete freaking moron. It took me 4 years to realize that I was a moron. And then I realized doing less work is better. And now when I look at a property, I go, what is the least amount of work I can do to make money on this? What can I do? You can always do more work. It may cost you a little more to do work twice, but you can always do more work. But once you've done all that work, and I learned that basically by selling properties where I spent a lot of money to take down a wall, a load-bearing wall, and put up posts and a header. And the first thing the retail buyer who bought it from me did, the first thing was put up a wall there. I did that once. I took down a wall to a kitchen, and I sold it to an Indian guy. And the Indian guy goes, "Listen, I cook with curry. I don't want to stink up the house. I'm putting up a wall." And I thought, "Oh my God, I spent probably $6,000 to take that wall down." And the truth is, you never know what the end buyer is going to want. The less work you do, the better. And that's another reason why I really like wholetailing, which again is buying a property, closing on it, doing minimal work to it, and then putting it out retail. So again, wholesaling has really made me a fortune over the last 5 or 6 years. I wish I would have thought about it earlier. There's so many properties that I got rehabbed completely down to the studs and opened them up in the first few years that I was doing this. I could have sold by doing minimal work and just selling it cheaper. It's one of the big advantages when you sell hotels. You're going to be on the lowest end of properties that are selling in that area. It usually sells fast, and you have to really do your research in the area to see what older, cruddier properties are going for now to retail buyers. As long as they can get a mortgage. So all the systems have to work, the kitchen appliances have to work, the roof can't be leaking, the heating has to work, electrical has to work. That's what you have to look at. If they can get a mortgage on it, they're willing to take it as is just to get a bargain, then that is a really good way to look at properties for wholetailing. If anybody has any questions, you can DM me or shoot me an email. You can call me at, I think YouTube, my number will be, all my information should be below. I'm going to put it in the Facebook too. So I hope this was helpful, explaining what wholetailing is and how it's helped me and why it was really a game changer for me. I probably bought an additional 20 properties in the past couple of years because I looked at it through a wholesale lens.